Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank members for supporting this motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just want to make just 2 points. Sometimes you hear people, the rhetoric that this government doesn't know about business, this government doesn't know about tourism, this government doesn't know about investment. But Mr. Speaker, I heard my colleague talk about next year and the threats of war and the threats of battle next year, Mr. Speaker. Let me tell you what will happen next year, Mr. Speaker. Next year, Mr. Speaker, the economy of this country will grow by 4.2%. Next year, we are going to be releasing in the public 79 new police recruits, and in March next year, we're going to be training another 79 new police recruits. Next year, we're going to have the Tourism Ranger Program, employing another 50 rangers. Next year, we're going to be opening the Northern Police Headquarters, the most up-to-date and modern police headquarters in the CARICOM. Next year, Mr. Speaker, we're going to be starting the GPH program. Next year, we're going to be opening St. Jude's Hospital. Next year, we're going to be continuing the housing program at Rockall, and we're going to be starting one at Talvan, and hopefully we're going to be starting one in Canaries. Next year, we're going to be starting work on the refurbishing of the George Odlum Stadium. Next year, we are going to be continuing construction on not one, not two, not three, but 4 new hotels. Next year, Mr. Speaker, we are going to complete the resurfacing of the Chaussee Road, and we're going to start work on the Cashews-Grizzly Highway. Next year, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be buying a pothole truck that will begin to pothole immediately when the holes appear in the roads, immediately. Next year, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be opening the wellness, we're going to be opening the emergency care center at Victoria Hospital in the Sir Winston Paris complex. Next year, Mr. Speaker, we're going to be expanding the Grosley Polyclinic. Next year, Mr. Speaker, we are going to do work on 5 new schools, including extensions to the Enchipo Secondary School and extensions to the Grand Riviere School, Mr. Speaker, next year. Next year, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be opening the Bar St. Joseph HRDC, Human Resource Development Center. Next year, we're going to be opening the Grand Riviere Heritage Center. Next year, we are going to be opening the Larry Susev Center. Mr. Speaker, next year, you want to know more about next year? So, Mr. Speaker, so you understand why there's that desperation about next year, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, but next year will be a very interesting year. Because next year, I can assure you, tell you one thing, all these lies and all that propaganda and all that calumny that has been spread in this country for the last 2.5 years, we are going to rebut it. And next year, we are going to remind all those who forgot that they were in power for nearly 6 years and 5 years before, because they pretend as if they were never in power. There are a whole lot of angels that came from heaven and descended on this earth, and discerned this stuff and found this stuff in all sorts of problems. And these guys were the ones who are causing that, Mr. Speaker. Next year, we are going to remind, Mr. Speaker, of what this country was, the sins that they committed, and how this government. Mr. Speaker, I want a challenge. On my feet, I have outlined what this government will do next year. I didn't even talk about what we did in the last year. Some. I challenge them, to stand on your feet and say what your government did in 10 years. Real things. Yeah. Real things. Real things. Not what you think, or not your vision, not what you envisage, not what you plan to do, not what you did. What you did, Mr. So is it, Mr. Speaker? So you understand why next year is so important? No, that's why next year is important. So, Mr. Speaker, they're on a run. They're on a trot. But, Mr. Speaker, the same way they want to run on a trot in 2021, all sorts of things. They sat there and they laughed at us. I never forget that, Mr. Speaker. They laughed at us. Look at them. And then the scorn and the disregard and the contempt they had for us. They sat there and talked about arrogance. They sat there and they laughed at us. We were the laughing stock. Look at these guys, Mr. Speaker. But the people of St. Lucia decided differently. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell you that this government has done more for the tourism industry than any United Workers' Party government. And when the member for Beaufort South said that the economy was in transition in 1998, when we lost our preferential treatment on the bananas, and he said the economy was in transition and we are transitioning from agriculture to services, they laughed at us again. He was ridiculed. When he said that the economy was in transition, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, the economy was in transition. Because I was a minister that introduced the transition into financial services, Mr. Speaker. So when they try to play, they want to castigate me or belittle me, Mr. Speaker. My history is there. My performance as a minister of government in St. Lucia is clear. And I challenge, including the former ministers of tourism, to put their record against mine and see which one is better. In all respects, in all aspects, I challenge that. Put your record against mine. Put yours and put mine, and let's see which is better. So when they try to belittle me, when they try to demean me, Mr. Speaker, that doesn't bother me, because my record is clear, and the people of Castries East know that record is clear, and when the time comes, they will repeat what they always did before. So, Mr. Speaker, it was in 2014 that we passed the Tourism Incentives Act. This government, under Kenny Anthony, we passed it to open up investment, to give incentives, more incentives that existed under the previous act. It was our government. We are the government that increased the size from which the number of rooms that hotels could get incentives from. We are the government that taxi drivers, we are the ones who organized the taxi driving services and gave taxi drivers concessions to buy vehicles to improve their fleets. We are the government who did that. So, Mr. Speaker, we're going to talk about records. And they've spoken, and every Sunday, every Tuesday, lies, slander, calumny, every day, personal attacks, all in a week. Thursday, this, the whole. But, Mr. Speaker, we are going to go on the record because, Mr. Speaker, the people people of St. Lucia feel better on the labor. They feel better because they know, Mr. Speaker, talk about inflation and cost of living and subsidies, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that's not the time for that. Mr. Speaker, I know that this amendment will expand the investment in the tourism industry. I want to compliment all my ministers. The economy is doing well, Mr. Speaker, but there is room for improvement. It's continuous improvement. We're not sitting back and boasting. We're not sitting back and saying we have the best vision and we know better than anybody else. We deal with consensus and discussion. We talk to people. We talk to people. We talk to people. We ask people for the ideas and for the opinions, Mr. Speaker. Because we don't believe we have all the answers. We don't. There were weekends when there were 3 murders in this country. We weren't the ones in power. We weren't the ones in power, Mr. Speaker. We were not there when but these things happened. But we didn't blame anybody. We didn't blame anybody. We did not try to castigate people when there were issues in the health centers and the health service in this country, as if these things never existed. Never existed. We did not, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, so, where's the plan for war next year? Next year we plan for facts. Next year we plan for the development of the people of this country. That's what we plan for next year. Next year we plan that more children will go to university because of the One University program. That's what we plan for next year, Mr. Speaker. Next year we plan to expand the universal health care coverage for the people of St. Lucia. That's what we plan for next year. And next year, Mr. Speaker, next year, we plan for the upliftment and the betterment of the people of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. So the Minister of Tourism must get his kudos for marshalling the industry and for keeping to the dictates of this government of ensuring that investment benefits people of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker, and the investor has an enabling environment to make profit and to get a return on investment. This has been his mandate, and this is what he's been following, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as I end, I will tell you again that I've spoken to all my colleagues. I've spoken to them. I've told them my position on many things. I've told them that the essence of politics is serving people. And if you come to politics because you believe that you have a God-given right to run this country, that your father died and left St. Lucia for you to run, and you must run it. And if you don't run it, you'll mash it up. You'll burn the house to kill a rat. That's not what you're in politics for. You're in politics to serve people, to improve the quality of life of the people of the country, to leave one generation better off than the last. And what you got, your children must get better, Mr. Speaker. That's what you're in politics for. You're not in politics to lie and to commit all libel and slander against people because the people elected you out of office, selected you out of office, Mr. Speaker. And if that's why you're in politics, that is not the reason why you should be, Mr. Speaker. It is said that politicians are pathological. Some of them, Mr. Speaker, they behave like psychopaths. They must get it. There's a rage. If they don't get it, they do anything, they say anything, they get enraged. They sit in the back of pickups. They do everything. They do anything, Mr. Speaker, just to get into government. They do anything, things they would have never done in their regular life, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all what I did before I was in politics, I do the same thing now, Mr. Speaker. My life has not changed. I live in the same house. I live in the same place. All what I try to do every time I get up, is to work with men and women to improve the quality of life of the people of this country. Because I've been fortunate, Mr. Speaker, I got into education. I want to improve their lives. So that's why I'm in politics. So all those who planning for me, all those who planning war, all those who planning destruction, all those who try to call me all kind of names, Mr. Speaker, that does not bother me. I'm never bothered, because they've said more. They said I could never be Prime Minister, never. That's what they said, never, never. Laughed at me, went all over the world. Went all over the world, talking a lot of calumny. Said all kind of things, Mr. Speaker. Now the same people they said these things to are laughing at them. Laughing at them, but in this world of politics, that's what it is. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I want to thank all the members. And Mr. Speaker, I want to wish you and your family and thank the members of the Parliament for their hard work. Mr. Speaker, I want to wish the member for Choiseul a very happy New Year, Mr. Speaker, and tell him that he must try his best to be consistent in his words, and also try his best not to play to the gallery. Because when you play to the gallery of politics, Mr. Speaker, it comes back to haunt you. Because in politics, you must be true to yourself. You must, in spite of all the noise around you, must be true to yourself, Mr. Speaker. And that's the key in politics. Politics is not about hypocrisy. Politics is not about pretense, Mr. Speaker. And too many people in politics and pretend what they're not. They try their best to be what they're not, Mr. Speaker. You must be real. You must be real in politics. And the people detect you when you're not real. They detect you, they understand you. Because you can't fool them all the time, you know. You can't. The people are never fooled. That's why the people of my constituency are not fooled. In spite of what they say and do with me, the people of my constituency are not fooled. Because they know the parliamentary representative. They know what I stand for. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the men and women in this parliament and the members and the executive of the St. Lucia Labour Party, Mr. Speaker. The party that put me where I am today. I want to thank them. To thank my family. I want to thank my priests. I want to thank my priests. I want to thank the Archbishop. I want to thank all the pastors, all the religious people who keep this country in balance by their prayers, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank them. I want to also tell them that next year there will be no war between the government and the Catholic Church. So all those who planning a war between the government and the Catholic Church, that will not happen. So all the I would say something about prayer warriors, but I won't. I know. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I thank you for your guidance. I thank you for making me sit down sometimes. And I thank all your staff. I thank my staff, Mr. Speaker, the people in the Prime Minister's office, both the civil servants and my staff, my secretary, my personal assistant, my press secretary, my security detail. I want to thank them, Mr. Speaker, because their job is not easy, because some of them get attacked for me. I want to thank them, Mr. Speaker. And I wish them all the best, Mr. Speaker, and look forward not for 2025 of war, but 2025 of progress and a 2025 of development for the people of St. Lucia. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.